Good news. Normally I would say yesterday was like the slow part of the week, but I can genuinely say there was something on last night I was quite interested in seeing. But before I get into that, as well as some news I heard about a certain show coming back, let's talk about my love of my hot and active kindness. And no, the show coming back is an inside job. I wish it was, trust me. But for now, this is actually a nice consolation prize. Let's see, what was my low? I mean, I guess my low is I feel kind of sad for my mom, because on Tuesdays and Thursdays, she watches my nephews like the entire day, and she loves it, but she gets home really exhausted. But yesterday was like the first time I legit saw her, and I mean, if you saw how she acted, you'd be like, she just could not even anymore. For those of you wondering, she just could not even. I mean, she was perfectly fine, just really exhausted. Like, she was so tired that anyone who saw her would have like an immediate sort of like, oh, she probably didn't have a very good day. Like one of those days, right? I mean, she had a great time with the boys, absolutely. And she loves being a grandma, absolutely. It's just, watching 3 boys is really tiresome. Not to mention she has to go into work today, and then she has to watch the boys on Thursday, which would be tomorrow. So, yeah, she's pretty busy. But at the end of the day, she's doing what she loves to do. Who could blame her for that? But my high is at least I did get to see her, and that is my high. I got to see my family yesterday, my mom, my dad. It was nice to watch them, as well as watch the show that was on last night. I was kind of interested in seeing. And my act of kindness was, well, funny thing, there were even more dishes that needed to be cleaned from like Sunday. So, well, actually, they weren't cleaned, but I had to put them away from the dishwasher to put other dishes in. So I had to do that, and yesterday I also checked out the garbage for my parents, because today's going to be garbage day. So, it was a pretty nice day overall. But, the interesting thing that happened was last night, because Night Court came back. So, good morning. Happy hump to everyone, and yes, I actually saw I suppose it's a continuation of the original Night Court show that happened in the 90s. Now, I never saw the original series growing up. In fact, the only way I know that, if you see the trailers for this new Night Court show, they clearly tell you over and over that this is a continuation of the previous show. Only it stars Judge Harry Stone's daughter, played by Melissa Rauch. And they get John Larroquette to come back. And it's very clear that they got John Larroquette to come back to give the show his blessing, which is a good thing. It's no different from getting Leonard Nimoy to play Spock in the new Star Trek movies. Or getting Bruce Campbell to play Ash Williams for that one cameo in the Evil Dead remake. Which is a really good remake, by the way. I mean, that movie's a gore show, but it's a good gore show. Anyway, I should also probably tell you that even if it is a cameo, Bruce Campbell is the man. We're not talking about Bruce Campbell, though. Perhaps another time, though. Seriously, I would dedicate a video to Bruce Campbell, but the Blockbuster Bus already did a video on that. Okay. So, Night Court comes on, and from the beginning, the only reason, and here's another thing, I know that this show is a remake because my dad watched a little bit of the show, and he was a little bit interested. So, and again, my mom was at home at this point. She immediately had to go to bed. Yeah, she was that tired. Like, I came in to see her after watching Night Court, and she was like nearly out cold. That's how tired she was. So watching Night Court, I have to say, I thought it was, again, having not seen the original Night Court, having not knowing the entire like backstory of everybody outside of the fact that you have Abby Stone, who's played by Melissa Rauch, and the Dan Feltman, played by John Larroquette. Like, I didn't really know much, other than you have a new public prosecutor who's basically, a beautiful young woman who wants to move on out of the place. I forget who that one guy is who's like always by Melissa Rauch's side. He kind of makes like big changes in the second episode. I forget who his name was. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on it. The bailiff, who's like, tough, but he's also really rather sensitive too, and she's very nice. I actually kind of like this show. I did. I mean, having not knowing everything there is to know about Night Court, I'm a brand new casual viewer going in, and I liked it. I mean, there was definitely moments that made me laugh. It definitely knew how to, stay, like, it definitely knew how to make a scene breathe. Like, if there was a moment that needed to be a little more emotional and quiet, it legit gave you that. And that's what a good comedy, that's what a good comedy anything should do. Like, yeah, you should be funny, but, take a moment or two to, have people emotionally process things. Think about life for a little bit. Honestly, you want to see a great comedy trilogy that does that great? Watch the Kung Fu Panda trilogy. That trilogy knows a thing or two about comedy. Trust me. Yes, I know there's a fourth movie coming out, but until it does come out, we have a trilogy. Anyway, what was I talking about again? Oh, right. I hate it when I yawn and then I immediately forget what I was talking about. I was talking about Night Court. So, I mean, my dad, on the other hand, he did like it, but, I mean, yeah, he actually did see the show a little bit when he was, when it first came out. I mean, the thing about Night Court was, as good of a show as it may have been, like, my father grew up watching, well, not grew up, but for years my father was watching stuff like, the Andy Griffith Show, Seinfeld. And as funny as Night Court is, I mean, it's not any of those shows. I mean, even The Big Bang Theory was probably funnier than, it was funnier than this. Although, speaking of The Big Bang Theory, let's get into, like the two leads, which is easily John Larroquette and Melissa Rauch. Now, one thing that my father pointed out is that in the original show, John Larroquette's character was the prosecutor. Like, he knew everybody was guilty, and he wanted to make sure that the people coming in were guilty. Here, he plays a public defender. And obviously, those are two completely different positions. And I mean, yeah, you need to be a lawyer to be either one, but you're kind of making John Larroquette play something that he's not used to playing, is all. That's what he's doing. Personally, I kind of like that change, because I mean, and they even established in the show itself that Melissa Rauch's character's dad, Harry Stone, and John Larroquette's character butted heads in the old show. So, in a lot of ways, I see that this dynamic works because at the end of the day, you know, John Larroquette's character has legit respect for Abby. You know, that's cool. And you buy into that. It makes for great chemistry. Now let's get into Melissa Rauch. Because anyone who's ever seen The Big Bang Theory knows who Melissa Rauch is. She was Bernadette. The sort of, I'm going to talk like this, sort of, funny sort of sounding, girl that was married to a Howard Wolowitz. And here's the thing. Yeah, she's great as Bernadette. But a lot of people tend to forget, Melissa Rauch is really funny. And trust me, she can act. In fact, one of my favorite performances she's ever done, believe it or not, was in a DC direct-to-video movie, Batman and Harley Quinn, where, you guessed it, Melissa Rauch played Harley Quinn. And she was really, really, really good at it. I mean, no, she wasn't, say, Tara Strong or Hinton Walsh, but she was good. Absolutely. In fact, and I'll never forget when the Blockbuster Buster talked about Batman and Harley Quinn himself. He mentioned how, I mean, yeah, I know, live action, Margot Robbie, she made Harley Quinn her own. Absolutely. I'm never going to dispute that. But I could legit see Melissa Rauch play Harley Quinn in real life. I think she could. So, it really is great seeing Melissa Rauch, for one thing, speaking her normal voice. But also, give her, her own show. Have her be the lead. Because more often than not, ever since the success of The Big Bang Theory, a lot of the actors either, have a hit show that isn't really doing so well, or, let's be honest, Kaylee Cuoco was always going to be, a huge star. Just because, let's be honest, she really is that pretty. And then you have Maya Malik, who, she's great. She's great on, hosting Jeopardy, but that show, Call Me Kat, yeah, I heard it actually really wasn't that good. Rest in peace, Leslie Jordan. But from what I've seen, these first 2 episodes of Night Court, because they had a 1-hour premiere, I think this show could go far. And you really do believe how just nice of a person Melissa Rauch makes the character of Abby Stone. I genuinely find it believable. And, you're rooting for this person. I mean, it's interesting to see where the show is going to go, because they established that Melissa Rauch's character is in a relationship, and I believe she's engaged. And her boyfriend, because the show takes place in the city, and her boyfriend is living upstate, but he's moving down later. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic works, because they really could write it in 2 different ways. They could have it be they've been apart from each other for so long that, the spark kind of burned out. Or, maybe he's kind of a jerk or something. Because, let's be honest, stuff like that always happens in these sitcoms. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. And frankly, I wouldn't be mad that they did such kind of an obvious trope. But I would be left kind of come on, I think you could have done something else. Even something different. Or maybe he's just going to be a nice guy. Maybe they're going to live happily ever after. Or they could what they could do what I just described earlier, that, maybe he's a jerk and they, sort of move on from each other, but then they come back later. They can do that. It happened on that 70s show. Which reminds me, that 90s show is premiering tomorrow, isn't it? I know what video I'm doing tomorrow. And it's actually a good thing I am doing that video tomorrow, too, because as far as I know, there's no new episode of Hot Ones. So, actually, I'm thinking of Friday. Never mind. There's nothing going on today. So, yeah. Expect my thoughts on that 70s show tomorrow. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on social media. As always, oh, I completely forgot. I was supposed to talk about something else, wasn't I? So cool thing, Phineas and Ferb is coming back. At some point, I'll have to talk about Phineas and Ferb as well, because I do have some thoughts on that show. I mean, there are no bad thoughts. In fact, full disclosure, I think Phineas and Ferb is a pretty, pardon the language, it's a pretty damn good show. So I can say, I really do like Phineas and Ferb. I really am glad it's coming back. But I'll get more on that another time. So now I hope you all liked this video. And if you did, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on social media. Alright, one last thing on Phineas and Ferb. Keep in mind, when the announcement that Phineas and Ferb is coming back, the show is in pre-production. Like, we're talking maybe mid-2024 when we get Phineas and Ferb again. So, don't get too excited. But they did announce it's coming back, and that's good. But again, I'll get more on that later. I hope you all like this video. If you did like this YouTube channel, follow me on social media. As always, I'm very humble in this video for all you guys watching today. This is where I stop. I am very hopeful we have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And remember, if any of you guys want to talk a chat, I'm always going to be here to lend a deal. Always have your back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.